Well, 2021, where do we start? The same place we left off in 2020, really.
Although exams are the fairest way we have of assessing what a student knows, the impact of this pandemic now means that it is not possible to have these exams this year.
Because in the last few minutes we've heard that the first coronavirus vaccine has been approved for use in the UK by the
Today, Monday the 19th, has been called Freedom Day in England as most legal restrictions on social contact have been lifted.
This year we're mostly vaccinated, but the new variant is causing uncertainty. Could the tsunami happen again?
Omicron is now the dominant variant across most of the country, and cases are doubling every few days. With scientists warning infections could hit 2 million a day by the new year, the Health Secretary offered no guarantees we won't have to spend Christmas in lockdown again.
So who knows what the current state of COVID will be like by the time I post this video. And like I said last year, who knows how long we're going to be locked down for either. But I feel like COVID hasn't stopped us having a good year. I started the year by securing a place on Manchester TV, talking on a weekly football podcast. This continued and I was offered the opportunity to host the Euros podcasts throughout the summer, which has now led to me hosting the Manchester TV football content. In February, we got one of my 2021 goals ticked off. We started the Us3 FC podcast and the Us3 podcast. However, we sadly lost the Us3 FC podcast after 3 episodes. Rest in peace, Us3 FC. But the focus shifted to the Us3 podcast. We originally started discussing world news, but transitioned into a guest-based podcast and met so many amazing people along the way. Yes, we started on Zoom, but we eventually transitioned into being in person when restrictions allowed us to in the summer. And then in August we got the opportunity to do something that we never thought would be imaginable this time last year. We managed to host our own charity live stream, which took so much hard work and effort for it to even take place in the first place. But again, we can't thank everyone who was involved enough for helping us out. We even managed to get our first brand deal. As for myself personally, I think I can speak for most of the country to say this summer was absolutely amazing. England reached their first major tournament final for 55 years. I also went to Malia with the two mates Josh and Johnny from the Us3 podcast. And yes, it was riddled with COVID, but it didn't stop us having an amazing time. And yes, I am as shocked as you are, but I even managed to get myself a girlfriend. But what about myself content-wise? Last year, I set myself the goal of 250,000 followers on TikTok. I mean, I hit 220,000 and I'm making a new account, so pretty much there. The laughable one. I said I would post every week on YouTube. I've posted about 8 times, but in the new year, the podcast and the TikTok will continue, as well as occasional YouTube videos like this one. I think this has made me realise that one important thing to do this year is set goals, but realistic goals. In last year's 2020 year review, I set myself a lot of targets and let's be honest, I didn't hit all of them. But I realised if you actually look closely at what you have achieved, more often than not, it'll actually blow your mind. In fact, I hate to use a Coldplay reference here, but this is what Chris Martin said in the film.
Phil said the other day, because I was about to turn 40, you should write a letter to your 17-year-old self and tell him what you're up to. Because his head would just explode.
And even when I think short term to how I was 2 years ago and what I'm doing now, I genuinely can't believe how far I've come. I think that's down to the fact that I surrounded myself with a lot more supportive friends and family members. Now that's not to say that my friends and family members weren't supportive back then, I just surrounded myself with more of them. And I know for a fact my mates will rip me to shreds for these type of videos because yes, they are a bit cringy, but that doesn't mean the message of them has to change. Take this as a thank you because I think without my friends, without my family members, I don't think I'd be in the position I was today. because I think when you've got a good set of friends, you can have a good time, no matter what you end up doing. You'll always have us. Now, 1 year later, I think 2021 has been an important year of my life, but it's also been one of the best years of my life. I've met so many amazing people, and I've started making steps towards a massive passion of mine, whether that's hosting on Manchester TV or co-hosting the Us3 podcast. If I had the chance to speak to myself from 2 years ago and tell them everything I was up to and everything I've done this year, I'd be incredibly proud of myself. It's made me realise the ability to reflect is so important, and it's actually just quite a nice thing to do for yourself. So that's another year done and dusted. 2021, you've been great, but I've got plenty more to go.